Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Right now, there's one area in biotech that's seeing explosive growth, and if you're not paying attention, you could miss some major opportunities. Today, I'll walk you through 3 obesity stocks you really can't afford to overlook in 2025. Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk have dominated this space, but a new wave of companies is rising fast. So what's driving all this momentum? Let's start with one number that says it all. $650 billion. That's not the market cap of Pfizer. It's not what Merck or Bristol Myers is worth. It's the amount of market value Eli Lilly has added over the past 5 years. That's more than the entire market cap of Pfizer today. And this growth didn't come from cancer drugs or immunotherapy breakthroughs. It came from one unexpected category: obesity drugs. In this video, I'll break down what triggered this explosive run, and more importantly, I'll walk you through 3 stocks that could be next in line. If you miss Lilly, don't worry, the next big opportunity might still be ahead. Let's dive in. Over the past 5 years, Eli Lilly's stock has skyrocketed. In April 2020, shares were trading at around $160. Today, over $850. That's more than a 5x increase, and over $650 billion in market cap added. If you put in $10,000 back then, you'd be sitting on more than $50,000 today. So what fueled this explosive growth? Obesity and diabetes drugs. In 2021, Novo Nordisk made headlines when Wegovy became the first GLP-1 drug approved for weight loss. But Lilly didn't sit still. They responded with a more powerful compound, a dual GLP-1, GIP agonist. The first product was Mounjaro, approved in 2022 for type 2 diabetes. Then came Zepbound in 2023, same molecule, new indication, obesity. And in April 2025, Lilly released great phase 3 results for its oral GLP-1 candidate. This stock surge wasn't driven solely by these new drugs, but it's fair to say that obesity and diabetes treatments have played a major role. Right now, the obesity drug market is dominated by just 2 companies, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk. But recently, Lilly has clearly pulled ahead, and Novo's stock has actually been slipping. The global obesity drug market is projected to reach $100 billion within the next few years. And with so much at stake, it's no surprise that dozens of companies are now jumping in, each hoping to carve out their share of this explosive growth. In this video, I'll highlight 3 companies that could be early-stage winners, names with the science, the strategy, and the timing to potentially become the next breakout stories. If you're looking to spot high-potential plays before the market fully catches on, and want to understand how momentum is shifting in one of the biggest therapeutic categories in biotech, this video will help you stay ahead of the curve. But before we talk about the next wave, let's take a moment to understand what makes Eli Lilly the clear leader today, by looking at the key obesity drugs driving its dominance. Eli Lilly's dominance in the obesity space comes down to 2 key drugs, and they couldn't be more different. Zepbound is a powerful dual agonist, targeting both GLP-1 and GIP receptors. Analysts expect it to hit $29 billion in peak sales. Then there's Orforglipron, an oral small molecule, and the first of its kind from Lilly. It's expected to reach $19 billion at peak. Together, these 2 form the twin engines behind Lilly's leadership. In the next slides, we'll break down what makes each of these drugs so important, starting with Zepbound, the injectable dual agonist that's already reshaping the obesity treatment landscape. Let's talk about why Zepbound has been a game-changer for Eli Lilly. Approved in 2023, it's a dual GLP-1 and GIP agonist, offering a new mechanism that outperforms older GLP-1-only drugs. In clinical trials, Zepbound achieved 22.5% weight loss over 72 weeks, a level of efficacy we've never seen before in obesity treatment. Compare that to Wegovy, Novo Nordisk's GLP-1 agonist, 14.9% weight loss over 68 weeks. And even though Wegovy launched earlier and is currently generating higher sales, Zepbound is gaining fast. In 2024, it's already projected to bring in nearly $5 billion in revenue. This isn't just a new product, it's a major leap forward in efficacy, and it's the main reason Lilly has surged ahead in the obesity race. Now let's talk about Lilly's second engine, Orforglipron. Unlike Zepbound, it's a pill, not an injection. And despite being oral, it delivers powerful weight loss results. Analysts see up to $19 billion in peak sales. Let's dive deeper into why this drug could change the game. Now, let's dive into the first major advantage of Orforglipron: manufacturing cost. Novo Nordisk already has an oral competitor based on semaglutide, and they've submitted it for regulatory approval. But there's a big difference. Semaglutide is a complex peptide. It's expensive and difficult to manufacture at scale. And even though Novo has developed a formulation to deliver it orally, they're still dealing with the high costs of producing a complex peptide and converting it into an oral form. Meanwhile, Orforglipron is a small molecule. Its structure is a bit complicated, but it's fundamentally easier and cheaper to manufacture compared to peptides. This gives Lilly a huge cost advantage, especially as the global obesity drug market expands and pricing pressures continue to intensify. Now, let's move on to the second advantage of Orforglipron: convenience. Novo Nordisk's current approach for oral GLP-1, based on semaglutide, requires patients to take the pill on an empty stomach, and then wait at least 30 minutes before eating or drinking anything. At first glance, it might not seem like a major burden. But for patients trying to manage obesity over the long term, following this kind of strict routine day after day can be surprisingly difficult. In contrast, Lilly's Orforglipron is being developed to allow more flexible dosing, without the same fasting restrictions. That could significantly improve convenience and adherence, both of which are crucial for success in chronic conditions like obesity. Alright, let's move on to the third, and final, advantage. Here's the third advantage: weight loss efficacy. Novo's oral semaglutide achieved 15.1% weight loss over 68 weeks in Phase 3 trials. Meanwhile, Lilly's Orforglipron showed 12.6% weight loss at just 26 weeks in Phase 2. This Phase 2 data is for patients with obesity. But very recently, Phase 3 data for patients with type 2 diabetes was disclosed. It showed strong results as well, so let's take a quick look. And here's the Phase 3 result from patients with type 2 diabetes. At 40 weeks, Orforglipron achieved 7.9% weight loss at the 36 mg dose. This actually beat market expectations, which were only around 5 to 6%. And importantly, the safety profile remains solid, no major surprises. Of course, weight loss tends to be milder in patients with diabetes compared to obesity alone. But overall, this was a very encouraging result heading into the broader obesity trials. Now that we've covered Orforglipron, here's a quick recap. Compared to Novo's oral GLP-1, Lilly's has three major advantages: cheaper to manufacture, easier for patients to take, and stronger weight loss results. A truly effective oral GLP-1 could completely reshape the obesity drug market. And Lilly is leading the charge. To quickly recap, Lilly's dominance today is powered by two engines: Zepbound, a dual GLP-1, GIP agonist with $29 billion peak sales potential, and Orforglipron, an oral GLP-1 agonist aiming for $19 billion. First, let's focus on Zepbound. I'll introduce two companies developing powerful rivals that could challenge Lilly's injectable dominance. Alright, let's jump into our first company, Viking Therapeutics, ticker symbol VKTX. This stock has been generating a ton of excitement lately, especially on X. It's definitely one of the most talked about names in the obesity drug space. And for good reason. Viking isn't just developing a me-too drug, their candidate has shown some truly impressive results. Today, I'll walk you through why VKTX is getting so much attention, and why some investors believe it could challenge even the giants like Lilly. Let's take a closer look. Viking's main focus today is on two dual GLP-1, GIP agonists, one injectable and one oral version, both targeting obesity. The injectable version, VK2735, has already completed Phase 2 enrollment, with a Phase 3 trial expected to start in the second quarter of 2025. Meanwhile, the oral version has also completed Phase 2 enrollment, and the results from that study could be the next major catalyst for the company. At the same time, Viking is preparing next-generation candidates, including a dual amylin and calcitonin receptor agonist, DCRA, program. For today, though, we'll stay focused on their lead obesity programs, and take a closer look at why VK2735 has attracted so much attention. Here's what Viking showed with their injectable version of VK2735. After just 13 weeks, patients lost up to 14.7% of their body weight. That's an incredibly fast and powerful effect. You can also see a clear dose-dependent response, meaning the higher the dose, the more weight loss was achieved. And importantly, the results were statistically significant, with a p-value less than 0.0001. Now, let's see how Viking's early results stack up against some of the biggest names in the obesity drug space. Here's how VK2735 compares to the giants. Novo Nordisk semaglutide showed about 8% weight loss after 20 weeks. Lilly's Zepbound delivered 22.5% weight loss after 72 weeks. Now look at Viking's VK2735, it achieved 14.7% weight loss in just 13 weeks. If this trend continues over a longer period, say, 36 weeks, VK2735 could potentially match or even surpass the results seen with Zepbound in 72 weeks. And if you could achieve similar weight loss in half the time, which option would you choose? Of course, longer-term data will be crucial, but even at this early stage, Viking is shaping up to be a serious contender. Another big advantage of VK2735 is its long half-life. Now, if you're not familiar, half-life just means how long it takes for the drug level in your blood to drop by half. And that longer half-life might actually be part of why VK2735 is showing such strong weight loss results. Right now, competitors like Wegovy and Zepbound need to be injected once a week. VK2735 has been studied weekly too, but here's the interesting part. Because of how good the PARC data looks, Viking thinks once-monthly dosing may be possible. If that happens, it could be a huge game changer, not just for weight loss, but for convenience too. I'm still a little cautious, we'll need to see more real-world data. But if once-monthly dosing really works out, it could be a major upside for Viking. So, is this a good entry point for Viking? The stock has pulled back significantly from its highs after that huge run-up we saw in 2024. Right now, it's trading around $25, much closer to its previous base. But importantly, there hasn't been any bad news driving this pullback. In fact, Viking has been making steady progress, including signing a major manufacturing deal to prepare for future commercialization. There are also potential catalysts coming up. One is the release of oral VK2735 Phase 2 results. And separately, Viking has mentioned potential licensing opportunities for some of its non-obesity assets, like VK2809 and VK0214. That wraps up our overview of Viking Therapeutics. I'll continue posting more deep dive videos on Viking in the future, but for now, let's move on to the second company. The second company I want to introduce today is Metsera, ticker symbol MTSR. They just went public recently, and they're still not widely known. But sometimes, that's exactly where big opportunities start. Personally, I find Metsera a really intriguing company to keep an eye on. So let's take a closer look at what makes them interesting. Metsera's approach is built around three key technology platforms. First, MINT, their proprietary peptide library and engineering process. Second, Halo, which focuses on achieving ultra-long half-life for peptide drugs. And third, Momentum, their platform to improve oral administration and bioavailability. We'll go through each of these briefly, because understanding this foundation is key to seeing why Metsera could have a real edge. One of Metsera's core strengths is their massive peptide library, around 20,000 molecules designed to target hormones like GLP-1 and GIP. Through years of engineering, they're optimizing 4 key features: solubility, miscibility, biological activity, and especially, in vivo half-life. Extending half-life is crucial, because longer-lasting drugs can mean fewer injections and better convenience for patients. We'll go deeper into the science behind this in a dedicated video later, but for now, just remember, longer half-life equals better patient experience. As we just discussed, Metsera has worked hard to engineer longer half-lives even at the peptide level. But beyond that, they've developed another major innovation, their Halo technology. Halo is a novel lipidation platform. In simple terms, it attaches lipid groups to peptides to dramatically extend their half-life. This strategy is actually used by many companies. However, Metsera's approach seems to go even further. Their candidate MET-087I has achieved a half-life of around 380 hours in human studies, compared to about 168 hours for Novo Nordisk's semaglutide. That's more than double. And longer half-life could mean less frequent dosing, greater convenience for patients, and more stable long-term management, all critical factors in real-world obesity treatment. Metsera isn't the only company aiming for once-monthly dosing. Amgen is also targeting this with their drug Maritide, and they've shown strong results, with about 20% weight loss over 52 weeks. But there's a big difference. Maritide is an antibody-peptide fusion. Using an antibody is almost like a cheat code. Of course, it extends half-life dramatically. The problem? It's incredibly expensive. In obesity treatment, where millions of patients could eventually need chronic therapy, affordability matters. That's why Metsera's approach, relying only on engineered peptides without antibodies, could offer a big real-world advantage. Here's a snapshot of Metsera's pipeline. Their lead program is MET-097I, a fully biased GLP-1 receptor agonist, currently in Phase 2b trials. They're also developing MET-233I, an amylin analog, and a combination of MET-233I plus MET-097I to potentially maximize weight loss benefits. Finally, they're advancing an oral GLP-1 program under the Momentum platform, which is currently in IND-enabling studies. This gives Metsera multiple shots on goal in the obesity space, not just one program, but a full portfolio approach. And now, let's move on to the final company for today, Structure Therapeutics, ticker symbol GPCR. Unlike the peptide-focused companies we've seen so far, Structure is developing small molecule drugs, just like Lilly's Orforglipron. They're aiming to transform obesity treatment with an oral, low-cost option. Let's take a closer look. Here's a quick look at Structure Therapeutics' pipeline. Their lead candidate is GSBR-1290, a selective GLP-1 receptor agonist, now in Phase 2b trials for obesity. They're also developing small molecule drugs targeting the amylin receptor, another promising pathway for weight loss. And further down, they're working on GIP receptor programs, trying to create even more powerful combination therapies. As you can see, Structure is aiming to build a broad and diversified obesity portfolio, all with oral small molecule drugs. Before diving into the details, let's start with Structure's flagship project, aleniglipron, their most advanced candidate for obesity treatment. When you look at the structure, it's strikingly similar to Lilly's Orforglipron. It's clear that they use Lilly's patents as a strong reference point. Now, here's the thing, Lilly's Orforglipron has already shown very good results, both in terms of weight loss and safety. So unless Structure can clearly differentiate themselves, it's going to be a tough battle. Structure has said that they deliberately optimized their compound to have a shorter half-life, hoping to reduce side effects. But honestly, given how safe Orforglipron already looks, that strategy might not give them much of an advantage. That's my honest take. Here's a quick look at where Structure Therapeutics stands today. Their stock is trading around $23, with a market cap of about $1.3 billion. That's still relatively small compared to the major players dominating the obesity drug space. At this point, they are advancing a small molecule approach, which could offer clear cost and convenience advantages over traditional peptide drugs. However, strong clinical data will likely be critical for them to truly differentiate from larger competitors like Eli Lilly. For now, it's a company I'll be continuing to monitor, especially as more data emerges over time. Here's a quick recap. Today, we explored 3 exciting companies working to reshape the future of obesity treatment: Viking Therapeutics, Metsera, and Structure Therapeutics. Each company has a unique strategy, from powerful injectable peptides to next-gen oral drugs and small molecules. With the obesity market expected to reach over $100 billion, the stakes are incredibly high. Of course, these are still early-stage players, and the road ahead won't be easy. But if they succeed, the potential rewards could be enormous. Which one are you most excited about? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Before you go, if you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing. I put a lot of time and effort into creating high-quality, science-driven content, and I'm committed to delivering timely updates that help you stay ahead in the fast-moving biotech space. You don't want to miss critical information, especially before big stock moves happen. Stay informed, stay ahead, and subscribe now to catch all the key insights. Thanks so much for watching. I truly appreciate your time. See you in the next video.